Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, 다들 하지 뻔한 이야기. Her brain fried. My lady papa Zenny, had her lady popping Molly. Why she waiting on me?
Hey guys, Kush here, back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to give you 5 tips for shooting cinematic videos on your phone. So the video you just watched before this was shot on an iPhone 11. It's not the greatest phone right now in the market. There are better phones, but I think it's an average phone of what a lot of people have right now. So that was a simple video shot on your phone. I'm going to give you 5 tips on how you can improve your phone videos. Let's just start with the first tip, your camera settings. That's the most important part of it. You need to be shooting in the right settings so you can get the best quality out of whatever camera you have. For example, shooting at the highest resolution possible and frame rate. So I shot this in 4K at 60 frames per second. I did not go to 120 frames per second because that is where the quality drops a lot. I feel 60 frames a second is the best middle ground to get slow videos and fast-paced videos, depending on what you're doing. You have the option to make it faster or slower in post. If we shoot at 120 FPS, it's gonna become too grainy, the footage, and the quality is gonna drop dramatically. So I feel like 60 FPS will be the best for you. Unless you know you want something in super slow, then we can do 120 FPS. Otherwise, I think you should stick to 60 always. And another tip I would say is to enable the grid lines so you can have a better idea of what you're composing. For example, this shot right here, I put Virag right in the middle to make it very symmetrical, this shot of him walking down the forest. I use the grid lines to help me compose this shot. Tip number 2, stabilize your footage. Like you can see here, I used a gimbal, but you don't need a very advanced gimbal like the Zhiyun Crane 2, which is mostly used on cameras, but I balanced my phone on it. Maybe you could try a few phone gimbals. DJI Osmo is a good one, and Zhiyun also has a few good gimbals that you can use as well. Otherwise, if you can't get a gimbal, try not to move a lot, which will make your footage very shaky and very unpleasant to watch. The more stable your footage is, the more pleasant it would be to watch and the smoother movements you can get. Tip number 3, adding dynamic movements to your shot. So this goes hand in hand with my last tip of getting stable footage. If you have a gimbal, you are able to get stable footage, which in hand you can create more dynamic moving shots. Like for example, this shot of Virag walking up the hill. I'm moving left to right, creating an opposing dynamic movement, which is very pleasant to watch and is making my shot look much more better instead if I was just standing there and not moving. So have camera movements, like for example, when I'm following him from the back and slowly panning upwards. This is also another example of a dynamic movement. It creates a much more engaging shot to watch, in turn making your footage look much better. Tip number 4, color grading and color correction. So we all know phones try and create an over contrasty, over saturated look. When I shot the footage, I always underexpose a little bit, which also decreased the saturation and contrast as well. And I had the liberty of increasing it how much I want in post. So if you look at these before and after shots, you can see how I created contrast and increased the saturation and luminance slightly on the skin tones. I also increased the saturation of the green slightly to make it pop more, and added a bit of vignetting on the corners just to make it a little more focused. And you can also try these when you're shooting from your phones, since the quality is not always going to be the best, and sometimes if you don't have another app other than your in-camera app, you might not be able to access all the settings. And my last tip would be add production value through editing. Use sound effects, use overlays, and good music. You can never go wrong with good music. Good music can make a bad video look very good. For example, in this video, I use very upbeat funk rap type music to sort of give it a vibe of something a lot is happening at the same time. And with overlays, I added a few overlays, like in the first shot, I sort of wanted to grab your attention within that 1 second span, so I added a quick transition shot of the frame decreasing in size and changing color as well. So I thought that this would grab your attention to watch it entirely. This was why I added this first shot. And I also included a Super 16 overlay as well. I'll link that below too. And I also sort of did a few black and white shots here and there and contrasted the shots a bit in different frames to sort of complement them and make them look different and keep you engaged. And sound effects, I sort of added a little nature sound effects and a whoosh, whoosh sound effects whenever I was moving the camera a lot, and some footsteps here and there when his feet are visible, so you can get that connection that he's walking. These are just a few things I did to sort of up the production value of a smartphone, since we all know smartphones are very capable, but they still don't have the best quality in the market right now. So yeah, these are 5 tips that I had for you if you want to do phone videography. Let me know how you like this video, and thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.